Welcome to the Clifton Worley Show. This week we have Mark Swartz with us. Hey, Mark.
Hey Clifton, how you doing?
Man, I'm doing great. Excited to be doing this interview.
Yeah, same. I'm glad you asked me to do it. It should be a good time here.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Mark, we met for the first time earlier this summer at Summer Namm in Nashville.
We did.
And tell me a little bit about why you were there and your connection to Nashville, and we'll kind of jump off from there.
Sure. So I was at Summer Namm with Mario Guitars and Guitar Mill. They're two. It's really two companies under one roof here in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Murfreesboro is about a half hour southeast of Nashville. So when I did go to Namm, I just drove back and forth from home every day. It was about a half hour, not a huge big deal there. But Guitar Mill and Mario Guitars, like I said, two companies in one. Mario Guitars does the custom boutique build side of things. A lot of traditional designs, like you might see old Fenders and Tellys in. They do some fantastic relic jobs. And Guitar Mill makes a bunch of replacement bodies and necks like you might see at Warmoth or All Parts. But you can, of course, spec those out in any way you like there. So I was their public relations intern, and through Middle Tennessee State University here in town. And, of course, I went to Namm with them, and it was a pretty great experience.
That's awesome. Well, I'll tell you what, we'll get to talking about Namm here later on, because I think there's a lot of good stuff to talk about what happened there. But let's just keep going with you're a student, you're a senior at Middle Tennessee State.
Yep.
Tell us a little bit about the process that you've been going through there the last 4 years, and kind of what you're looking to do here as you're getting out of school soon. And
Yeah, so I transferred here to Middle Tennessee State about 2 years ago. I transferred as a music business student.
okay,
They've got a pretty great recording industry program here. We get a lot of students from all over the country looking to get into either music business, audio production, or commercial songwriting. And like I said, it's a great program. It turned out to not totally be for me. There's a lot that goes into that. And I'm now a public relations student, like I said before, but I was able to keep some of my music business credits and work that into the degree that I have now. So I'm going to be finishing that up over the next year here.
okay. I guess I assumed you'd been there for 4 years, but you actually been there for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Where were you at before that?
I was born and raised in Normal, Illinois, Bloomington Normal. And I did a community college there for a couple of years.
Awesome.
Got a lot of my prerequisites and general education classes out of the way there.
Yeah. So at the public relations degree, are you open to anything, or are you wanting to be like in the music industry, or what are you looking at?
Yeah, I'd like to stay within either the music industry or the gear industry side of things.
Okay.
Now that I've had that sort of exposure through this internship, I really like the community there. I'm also open to other fields there. I'm minoring in public administration, so I wouldn't even mind getting a job in government or politics, working on a campaign or something like that.
Okay. So what do you think about Nashville? Do you have a desire to stay there in that area, or would you want to like relocate, or?
I actually haven't decided yet. Nashville is a great city.
Mm-hmm.
There's tons of things going on. A lot of interesting people and events there. So I certainly wouldn't mind staying around for a number of years out from here. But again, there's a lot of the United States I haven't seen and experienced, and I'd like to get around to seeing those. So if relocations in my future, I'm gonna welcome it.
Yeah, 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 and that's good to keep your options open like that. However, Nashville is like people are flocking into that city every day, and it's a really happening place right now. I mean, it always has been, but
It is, yeah. There's a lot of growth they certainly didn't anticipate, and it really shows with the traffic and the parking and
yeah,
development there.
yeah. Um, well, tell us a little bit about your. Let's go back some in your backstory.
Sure.
You obviously play guitar and are a musician. If you would kind of give us a picture about how you started out in music and kind of where it led you up to this point.
Yeah. So I guess my musical experience started back in fifth grade when I picked the euphonium, the baritone, to play in the school band there. And I learned that instrument and eventually played it throughout my elementary and junior high and high school years. But when I was in junior high, I decided I want to play in the high school jazz band. So I bought a bass and took some lessons, and I went and did that for the next couple of years.
Cool.
And it was something I'm really glad I did. Eventually, I bought a guitar when I was a sophomore in high school there. I taught myself to play that and develop those skills.
Yeah.
And I've been playing ever since. Like I said, I did the jazz band thing throughout high school. I played in a number of musical pits for musicals and the orchestra there. Sat in with the choir a couple times. I played in my church's youth group worship band when I was in high school, and even after I graduated, I played with the main church band there for a couple of years.
Well, so you were you playing bass, guitar, both?
Yeah, in high school, for the first 3 years, I played bass, and then our guitar player graduated, so I played electric guitar for my last year. And then after I graduated and played with the adult worship band, if you will, I just played bass or guitar as they needed me. And I still play bass at my church down here every couple weeks.
Oh, cool. So tell me a little bit about your rigs, and we'll start with the bass.
Sure. I have a fairly modest bass rig. I've got a Fender Jazz bass, and I play that into a Galen Kruger combo. Pedal board wise, I keep that fairly modest too. Just a tuner, a compressor, Electro-Harmonix Micro Pog, JHS Morning Glory, and I finish that up with Strymon Flint just for a little reverb and tremolo if I'm ever doing some ambient padding.
Okay. So with the micropog, what are you using there? Like, what's going on with that?
Every now and then I'll dial in a bit of an octave up sound just to add some little zing to my sound if I'm one of the only ones playing. And if I'm ever doing some of that padding stuff, I'll dial in a bit of that lower octave just for some added beef to the sound.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. So when you pad, are you generating like a typical bass tone, like in kind of, or would you like try to make your bass sound like different than a bass guitar? If that makes sense.
No, it'll be more of a swell kind of deal. I'll dial the volume back, and I try not to get too loud and crazy with it because a bass doing that really can be overwhelming. So you got to be careful with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's awesome that you can do that though, and have that on your rig.
Yeah, it's neat, and the octave and the reverb I don't pull out very often. Just as it's called for, really.
Yeah. Well, let's transition over to your guitar playing. What do you typically like to do there?
Yeah. So with the guitar stuff, I I play a lot of punk and alternative and some ambient kind of music there, indie rock there.
Hmm.
Nothing too crazy. I used to be a lot more of a technical player and growing up, and I was just thinking about this past week. There was a point in the past couple of years here, probably about 3 or 4 years ago, where my musical tastes kind of changed.
Mm.
I used to listen to a lot of like technical rock and metal kind of music,
Hmm.
and something in me just started to appreciate the more tasteful songwriting. I started paying more attention to composition and lyrics and songwriting and just overall production. Um, so that's kind of where I'm at now.
Hmm.
And then my rig isn't too crazy. I play either a Squire Stratocaster or a Tele Deluxe parts caster that I made in my dad's garage. And that I've got the whole pedal board thing for, couple overdrives, volume pedal, compressor, um, TC Electronics flashback, and into that Strymon again.
Hmm.
And I play that all into a triple X PV combo,
Sweet.
which is a lot more amp than I need right now.
Yeah.
But I got it back at the end of high school.
Yeah. I can't remember. Is the Triple X, is that tube or solid state?
It's tube.
Okay.
I think there's 6L6s in it.
Oh, nice. Yeah. They make some great amps, and I know that the Triple X, I think, kind of gravitates more towards like a higher gain type amp.
Yeah, there's a ton of gain on tap, way more than I'd ever need. Even when I was playing the harder music and stuff, um, I would never bring the gain past noon or 2 o'clock.
Hmm. Do
Now
you?
I just
What do you do now?
now I just run on the clean channel and use it as a pedal platform.
Nice. Yeah, that makes some action. I think that's a great setup. Um, I use the flashback as well in my rig, and I love it.
Yeah, it sounds great. I'm actually looking to upgrade to either the Boss DD500 or a Strymon Timeline here
Yeah.
in the near future.
Yeah. Yeah. Does TC Electronic has had some great stuff, and I was really I got that pedal, I guess, about a little over 2 years ago. And back then they were doing like the tone prints and everything, and I really
Yeah,
thought that that was going to take off and be something that I would, use. And to be honest, like it's not been something that I've utilized. I'm pretty happy with just, and I've got like the big boy, the X4.
yeah, that's what I have.
Okay.
And I agree with you. It's really a lot. I never got that set up. I just like the sounds it made out of the box well enough.
Absolutely. I never felt the need to go into it.
What really looks cool to me is they just put out the second generation of those pedals,
Yes.
the flashback and the Hall of Fame, and the mass feature looks incredible. I would use that all day long.
Hmm. Yeah. If they would have had what they have available on the Hall of Fame back when I was looking at them, I would have gotten went that route, but I ended up going with a Digitech Polera instead.
That's an awesome pedal.
Yeah, I liked it, and really the only reason why is because they had that shimmery like octave reverb in there
Yeah,
that
yeah.
at the time the TC did not, and that was very popular a couple years ago. I think it still is, but like it's not like all the rave like it was. But I thought that the price point competing with the Hall of Fame, like it seemed to do what I needed it to do. But
Yeah,
I love what I loved was the idea of the Hall of Fame and the tone prints.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So and then they came and blew everybody's mind. I'm getting really off subject right here.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
But they came and blew everybody's mind about a year ago when they came out with like those $50, $60 pedals, like a whole lineup of them, and those are really cool. Now they're kind of one trick ponies, but
Yeah, I've been eyeing the vibrato pedal that
yeah,
they put out.
yeah, I would love to pick up something like that because from a vibrato pedal, um, I kind of just needed to do that one thing that it does well. I don't need
Hmm.
one with a bunch of like crazy features
Yeah,
because I use any kind of modulation type effects. I use so sparingly.
same here. All I'll really use right now is the tremolo on the Flint, and if I want some chorus or some vibrato, I can usually dial that in on my delay trails.
Yeah, I on the flashback, there's a certain setting that has like a little bit of chorus thrown in. It kind of has like that old like '80s like Edge from U2 kind of sound. And
Is it the analog with the modulation?
yes,
So what I did, and I just did this recently, I put on that setting, and I set it to, I can't remember how many repeats, but I basically dialed it in so it was just all chorus and modulation, and pretty much no delay time in there. It's pretty instantaneous. So it's pretty much just acts as a chorus vibrato
that
setting.
that's awesome. I'll have to explore that some because the chorus that it does so well that it almost
Hmm.
makes me not even want to fool with having a chorus pedal because I use it so sparingly.
Yeah, yeah.
And I had played with a an expression pedal into that, and I never could get it quite to do what I wanted it to do. But my thought originally was hook up an expression pedal and be able to go and kind of toggle between that, where I could have the chorus on and then dial in the delay on top of it. So I could, basically get like two out of one out of that.
Okay.
So, and I still may do something like that if I could pick up a good, expression pedal. Because the one I had was I picked up a Behringer one that's like was
Oh
so
yeah,
cheap and it just
yeah,
didn't do a very good job.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, so well so you're playing guitar, you're playing bass. I heard you mention this a few times about that you've kind of done some project guitars.
Yeah. Um, Pretty much for the entire time I've been playing, for at least a majority of it, I've done a little DIY
Hmm.
going on there. Part of it's I'm just a student, but part of it's I just like doing the hands-on and learning how things work more intrinsically than face value. So, like I said, when I was a teenager, I made a Tele Deluxe parts caster in my dad's garage, and it didn't turn out great. It doesn't sound all that well, great, but I learned a ton about how the instrument works, what different specs can do to your sound, um, and I built some pedals here. Nothing too crazy or original, mostly just clones and stuff.
Hmm.
But again, it's helped me learn how pedals work um, on, uh, I guess, a circuit level and what that can do to my sound. So, my first pedal that I built, it was a tube screamer, and I bought a kit from General Guitar Gadgets, and I entered it in the 4-H fair. That was kind of my excuse to make it,
Yeah.
and it's been really cool ever since. I still pull it out every now and then too.
Yeah, that's really cool that you're dabbling in that stuff. I know that's like I'm just now in the last year or two like kind of tinkering with things like that, and I'm still not at a
Hmm.
level where I want to be. And it never occurred to me, when I was starting out playing guitar, like to try to take on projects or do anything. Like I was just so, I guess, consumed about just actually playing guitar.
Hmm.
Um,
Even even the whole building thing helped me get this internship this summer. They
yeah,
see my experience and whatnot.
yeah, that's pretty rad. That was a pretty rad internship when we were talking about, what you were doing there and everything.
Yeah.
And just the cool fact that like you got to go to Namm out of it. I think that's definitely a good place to be with the degree that you're pursuing and everything.
Hmm. Yeah, they're great folks over there. They said next year if they have extra passes, they'd be happy to give me one. So
Yeah,
I think I'll be heading back next summer in Nashville.
that's awesome. Well, let's talk about Namm for a minute.
Sure.
So, so we actually kind of met by coincidence or whatever. We you had you were in 60 Cycle Hum, and I said something about, or I can't remember. I think you said something about, hey, who's going to be there? Maybe we can all grab lunch or something like that.
Yeah.
And ironically, like, I just said, yeah, I'll be there, and we didn't really know each other. And ironically, like in the first few minutes of being at Naum, like I run into you, and I think
Yeah.
Jonathan Michael Diaz was there, and
Hmm.
Scott Hamilton, and all these guys from 60 Cycle Home that I had not met. And we just kind of all bonded and spent a lot of time, crossing paths and hung out a little bit. And it was really cool. It was almost like a really cool 60 Cycle Hum reunion or something.
It was cool. Yeah. I had never met anyone from 60 Cycle Hum before, or the Gear Slum, or any of the infinite number of spin-offs we have now. But it was great meeting you folks. And we all pretty much bummed around that weekend. Went through the convention hall and through the city and
Yeah.
got to know each other better.
I forgot to mention Chris Carter too. He
Chris
was,
and Melissa,
yeah,
I'm sorry, Marissa,
yeah.
and there's one other person there, and I'm totally blanking on who they were. Did we say Scott Hamilton?
Yes, yeah,
That's it. Yeah.
yeah. Really cool guys. And so I thought it would be fun to bring up the topic on this. We all of us actually went, and Ryan Burke was with us, and Anthony from Sinusoid. We all went out to this hot chicken place.
Bolton's Hot Chicken and Fish.
Yeah. Now, had you been there previously before that?
Yeah, I had been there once before, and I ruined my taste buds. Not literally, but it's overwhelming if you don't know what you're getting into.
Mm-hmm.
So for anyone who's never heard of hot chicken or hasn't seen the 60 Cycle Hum video, it's basically fried chicken that they put this incredibly spicy cayenne pepper sauce slash rub on.
Mm-hmm.
And there's all sorts of heat levels. You can get just basic with no heat, but then I think there's extra mild, medium hot, extra hot, and pretty much anything medium above is just going to blow you out of the water.
Yes. Yeah.
You'll be sobbing.
Well, I'd heard, the Nashville quote unquote hot chicken, and I always wondered, well, what's different about Nashville hot chicken? And it wasn't until I went there that I realized exactly what it was, because my idea of hot chicken was just normal, like fried chicken. And around
Mm-hmm.
here, like if you order hot chicken or spicy chicken, what they're literally doing is they're probably like marinating in something hot, or
Yeah.
like injecting some hot sauce into the chicken, which
Mm-hmm.
that's delicious as well. But what I noticed at there was that it was just normal fried chicken, like strips, but it was dusted with this like coating.
Yeah.
And that man, that seemed to just take the heat level and notch it way up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But that place was interesting in itself. It kind of reminded me of a little local joint you might find around here, like in South Mississippi or South Louisiana, that might like serve like a sandwich shop or something like that. It wasn't real elaborate. It was kind of a dive. Go up to the counter, you order it. No AC in the joint.
No.
I think I spent almost as much like trying to get drinks to cool down my mouth as I might have spent on the chicken itself.
Yeah. And if you guys haven't seen the video, Anthony Chang accidentally touches his eyeball. Or somehow some little spice gets in there, and he was actually gone for a lot of that.
Yeah.
He was crying.
Yeah, I was trying to be so careful not to do that. After I saw that happen to him, and I was like, this is legit like too spicy.
Yeah. And it's inevitably going to get on your lips and stuff, so you're going to get the burn there.
Yeah. So what did you go with? What did you go with again?
I think I got mild or medium, but I got the fried catfish, and that was really good.
Oh yeah.
It was incredible.
See, after like I couldn't finish the hot chicken, like the hot level. It was like mild, medium, hot. I got up to medium, and that was kind of as much as I wanted to do. And I tried the hot, and that was just too much.
Yeah.
And so I decided to go back and get some of the catfish, and I think I ended up getting it like mild or medium mild, whatever it might have been. And it was really good. It was good, and savory, and just a good piece of fish.
And it's still spicy. Like that mild there is spicy by normal standards.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you can still enjoy it.
Yeah. So, I think that place, if anybody goes to Nashville, they need to visit there. I drove by the last day. I drove by Hattie B's, and I thought about going, but they had a line like around the building down the street of people trying to get into it. I said, you know what? I don't have time for this. And I heard people say that the other place was where it was at anyways.
Yeah. Hattie B's, I'm not a Nashville native, so I can't speak this with authority, but it's quote unquote the touristy hot chicken place. I think people call Prince's the other legit one.
Okay. Yeah, I'll have to, if I go back, I'll have to try Prince's.
Yeah, I need to make it up there sometime.
Yeah. But it was a pretty nice little taco place, too, across the street from where Namm was at Music City Center.
Yeah, they had a good spread there. I was impressed.
Yeah.
A little overpriced for tacos,
I think so,
in
too.
my opinion.
Yeah.
But they were good. It was a good lunch.
Yeah, it was definitely good. Well, what kind of walk me through your highlights of Namm?
Sure. I did enjoy the get to know people, the networking that we did. We went to the like I said, quote unquote after party at the Gear Supply condo that first night. I got to meet Josh and Albert and the crew over there. They're some great guys to know. And then I was actually mentally preparing for this question because I knew you'd ask it. And it all kind of meshes together. I didn't have any real terrible experiences there. I was real impressed by the booth that Grant from Big Ear New York City put on. Just the Small Pedal Builders Expo. A whole slew of cool stuff over there. I think they had the Keeley pedals, the Pelican Noise Works, and of course Grant's own stuff. Just hundreds of pedals from small builders throughout the world, and that was a cool thing to look at. Oh gosh, it's been couple months now. It's hard to remember the highlights.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
absolutely. It's starting to kind of fade away a little bit, but what I do remember is all the cool people that I met and got connected with after the fact, and makes me really want to go again.
yeah. Oh, Creation Audio had a pretty cool booth.
They did, they did.
Pedal boards and amps there. Got to play some of their new amps, and those are pretty sweet amps.
Yeah, that's the old Risen amps, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think one of the guy who started Risen, he's working with them now. He actually lives in Murfreesboro.
Really? Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
'cause-
totally blanking on your name, so if you're listening, I do apologize. Let's get coffee sometimes.
so John Snyder is he runs that outfit, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. And where's he from again? I don't remember. Is it Ohio, maybe?
I don't remember.
Okay.
Sorry, John.
Um, well, yeah, I liked their booth. They actually had one of the most impressive booths, I think. And then likewise, Grant's booth. I really loved what he was doing over there because it gave you an opportunity to preview a lot of pedals from a lot of companies of builders who couldn't make it to now.
Hmm.
And I'm hoping I went ahead and decided I'm going to try to go to Winter Now, and I'm hoping that I can kind of see everybody that I didn't see here at Nashville now.
Yeah, different side of the country, different crowd, I
Yeah,
think.
I think there's a lot of West Coast guys that don't make the trek out here, and that'd be a chance to kind of just have made a complete circle of all the people that go to those type of things.
Sure. I don't think I'll be able to make it this winter, but maybe the winter after
Yeah,
this one.
yeah, it's you
It's
know,
a trek.
yeah, Nashville seems a little bit more convenient for that kind of thing
Hmm.
because you can get into Nashville and stay in town, and there's an airport right there. I was doing some research about it, and Anaheim's a really pretty good little trek from LAX, and
Oh yeah.
so if you're flying out there, you got to get transportation all the way to Namm, and it's a little bit more hurdles to go through, I think.
Yeah, I did do the financial math, and my day job is I work at a hotel, so
Hmm.
I can get discounted rooms and stuff. But by the time I had started looking at rooms, everything nearby was sold out.
Yeah, yeah. Well, not only are you contending with Naum being in town, but you're right there by Disneyland, where
Yeah,
it's premium properties and people are always funneling in, and so it's just seems like a really hard place. If you're looking for lodging and transportation,
yeah,
but yeah, I would love to see. Honestly, maybe if they could put it somewhere a little easier to go to.
yeah. Maybe like a. I've never been there, but like a Las Vegas or something like that.
Yeah, somewhere where like there's plenty of lodging available. Um, there's a lot going on, or even if they took it to like the Northwest or something, like Portland or Seattle, I think that would be cool as
Yeah,
well.
I'd really like to visit that area soon. Um, Obviously the weather looks pretty great up there,
Hmm.
but even our church financially supports a plant out there, and they take a trip out there every 6 months or so. So I might like to get on one of those soon here.
Yeah, yeah, I've kind of got that on my crosshairs as well as a place I'd like to visit in the near future. Of course, you got Sinusoid up there. You've got Blake and Leon over in Portland. Cowers out in North California. Just a lot. There's a
Yeah,
lot of industry, guys in industry out there in that
yeah.
leg.
Mr. Black's up in Portland.
He is, yeah,
Speaking of Mr. Black, I really want his Blood Moon pedal. It's the darker voice Super Moon that goes full wet. I think I'm going to jump on that on Black Friday.
Nice. Yeah, there's so many deals that come out on Black Friday that you just want to, it's almost like you just got to kind of plan for what you want.
Yeah, for sure.
I know there's some Labor Day, and here we are talking, right before Labor Day. There's some Labor Day deals that are popping up that are really catching my attention, and I was like, man, if I would have been prepared for this, I so totally would have.
I don't think I'm getting any gear on Labor Day. I just had to pay tuition. I just bought a new computer, and I've got rent here coming up, so it's not going to happen.
Yeah, but that's kind of where I'm at too. Like, I've just been investing in this podcast, and got my first Mac at the beginning of the year, and microphones, and then I'm trying to add possibly some video aspects later down the road. I've been trying out cameras, and it's kind of like, man, I just want to get back to playing guitar a little bit.
I just bought my first Mac too. I've used PC and Android all my life up until about 4 months ago. My Samsung Galaxy bit the dust after I dropped it. So I just randomly decided to buy an iPhone. Same thing, my PC bit the dust, so I randomly decided to get a MacBook. And I found out I don't really like either one better than the other. They're just different. They've both got their own merits, but I enjoy what I'm using now. So,
yeah, I love this Mac and iPhone ecosystem. But I still, at the office, I still use a Windows 10 every day.
Yeah.
And it has its, like you said, it has its merits too.
Yeah.
It's all about workflow for me.
Okay.
Whatever I can get the job done on any specific task the fastest, that's what I'm going to use.
Okay. To each his own. But yeah, I'm doing a lot of graphic design and publication design this semester. And we use the Macs at school for that, and I thought it'd be a good thing to have at home as well.
Yeah. Well, there's just so much, if you're a content creator or musician or artist or whatever, so much that you can do in the Mac ecosystem that's, you might have to get a bunch of different moving parts on a Windows versus a Mac,
Yeah.
Like even like on a podcast, like it's as simple as me turning on Skype and using a plug-in to record straight to my DAW with a microphone that I'm using, like a USB microphone. Super simple rig, but like for me to do that maybe like outside of a Mac, it'd be a little bit more complicated. So yeah, it just has its own merits, but well, so you went to Namm, you got an idea of what what the music industry is looking like. You've got this public relations degree.
Not yet.
Yeah. What do you finish up next semester?
Yeah, I hopefully graduate end of May.
Okay.
2018.
Yeah. So I know there's some excitement about that, and kind of do you have any do you have any desire to go back to Illinois, or is that just home?
Yeah, it's home for me. I probably visit about twice a year. The economy's in shambles in Illinois. There are millions of dollars in debt. I think the 3 past governors are in prison or something like that.
Oh, geez.
The political scene there is a mess. So I have no real desire to head back there right now. And like I said, it's home to me. There's family and friends, but I'm going to stay clear in the near future.
Yeah. I totally get that, you know. But so so where like what do you think? Like if you didn't end up going in the music industry, like what kind of doors do you think would open, or what you'd be interested in with what you're looking at to do?
If it weren't for the music industry, I kind of mentioned this earlier. I think I'd go into government or politics, and work in that arena. When I was a kid and I was a senior in high school, our social studies department had they had just started a close working relationship with the county clerk's office, and they had students help out with the elections up there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they do that a couple times a year, and we'd run around. We helped set up places. We could work as election judges if we were over 18, and I really liked that scene. As it turned out, um, I've always enjoyed watching politics and government, the way it works, and to an extent, I think we all have a degree of civil responsibility to be in tune to that and be
Absolutely.
responsible citizens. So I think that's where I'd be if I weren't shooting to be in the music arena.
Yeah, yeah. So that's interesting. I've known a few people who've kind of gravitated that way. There seems to be a lot of excitement, and especially on the election cycles. But
Yeah, this past one was a doozy.
yeah, yeah. You just never know what's gonna happen, and there's
You
a lot
never
of
know.
there's a lot of people on both sides working really really hard.
Hmm. A lot of manpower on the ground that
Yeah,
you don't see
yeah.
every day.
I know, like you get a good idea of. I live in a county seat town, even though it's a little bitty town,
Mhm.
and I never really paid much attention to it, but even like local elections, they get so heated and so intense, and the groundwork that those guys are doing. If you It really boils down to, I think, in a local election, how many people you can get out and canvass the area, um, you know, if you're going to get elected or not.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm still in touch with the county clerk that I worked with then, and she's still in office. And I follow her on Facebook. And I think my hometown, the mayoral race was down to something like, I think one person won by 50 votes
Mm-hmm.
or something like that. And they definitely went back and did a recount, by hand and whatnot. And it was cool to see the process
Yeah, yeah.
there.
I know. I was thinking about a senator race they had back a year or two ago. Of course, here I am. I live in a county seat town. They have a yearly, fair event in the summer. It was right before the election. Man, they had, this senator coming in like a huge bus, and then the guy he was running against, they had people coming down, and they were really, it really turned into a, yeah, like a huge
It was
campaign ground for them.
a big spectacle.
Yeah, and I mean they were
I
bringing in TV, like like nationally known people like that they were connected with to kind of campaign for them there in my small little town, and they're probably hitting a circuit, like okay, we have this many weeks leading up to the election. We're gonna hit all these places where we know a lot of people are gonna be at one time and that kind of
was
deal.
that was that this past spring here? I think it was on national news.
No, no, it was the year before that.
Okay, I'm thinking of something else then.
Yeah, but yeah, it was very interesting, and then it. I don't know why I got off on politics, and
Oh, I took us there.
oh yeah, it was interesting though, like people who the rise and fall of people, because like there were people who are kind of on their way up in the state government who supported like one guy who, and when he didn't win, like those people like lost all their influence.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
I believe it though.
yeah. I mean, it's like they lost their credibility, their influence, and they aren't bad people in and of themselves, but you know, it's just who they sided with. Unfortunately, kind of did them in.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the online communities we're part of.
Yeah. What about them?
Well, there's so many popping up every day. Of course, it seems like in the circles we both run in, that
Hmm.
60 Cycle Hum or the Tone Mob tend to be like the central, like the hub of all these groups.
Hmm.
But you get off into like Gear Slum, and then there's so many spinoffs from there and spinoffs from 60 Cycle Home, and I find that like me and a lot of my contacts in this music gear community, we can be in sometimes 20 to 30 of these groups.
Yeah. So I've actually, and I don't mean anyone to take offense by this, but I really try to be careful and limit myself
Mm-hmm.
as far as that's concerned. Um, just because social media can be such an overwhelming influence in our lives. And don't get me wrong, I'm 100% grateful and appreciative of these online communities that we're in. But I just know for my personal and mental health how it can affect that. And I even, I'll still post and comment in 60 Cycle Hum, but I unfollowed it from my newsfeed just because I found it was completely consuming it. Just the way Facebook's algorithm worked, I was only seeing 60 Cycle Hum posts on my newsfeed.
Yeah.
And I'll still click on 60 Cycle Hum every day or two just to see what's going on.
Yeah.
But I just knew for my own sanity.
Yeah, and I'm
That's
kind
why
of
I had to set things up.
I'm kind of like almost to that point myself. Like, I love these communities and I love the interaction I have. But to a point, it's taken up like so much mental space. That I know, like my wife would be like, "Hey, did you see this about somebody like that we know in real life? Like on Facebook, they posted this." And I'd be like, "No." And I think
Hmm.
it's like because like the algorithms, like I'm interacting so much in 60 Cycle and Gear Slum and some of these groups that it's kind of like blocking out other people that like are actually like people that I see every day or in my local community.
Yeah. And even with social media as a whole, I've tried to do a better job of making personal connections, even if it's just texting or calling them to see what's going on in their lives instead of looking on Facebook or whatnot.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah, and I find that like this show seems to foster that like with me personally. Like
okay.
I end up like holding conversations with people that interact with these groups with like you know texting back and forth or whatever, and it's a lot easier to do that than it is to like start a thread and
Hmm.
it just go on endlessly,
Hmm.
and it's more organic. And I've actually one of the coolest things about this podcast that I couldn't foresee was making the trip out to California, making the trip up to Nashville, um, the actually meeting these people in real life uh, had such more layers and depth to what's going on than just interacting on social media. And I think
Yeah.
yeah, I think that if like if our society could get back to the point of actually having like there's all these wonderful people out there that and I've heard the saying birds of a feather flock together. But if people would actually, you know, have real life interaction with each other, like I think the relationships would be healthier. Just as
Hmm.
friendships, whatever. And that's kind of like the direction I'm hoping kind of take with the podcast is it being more like organic and instead of like you know like anytime like I get to talk with somebody that I've actually met or interacted with more than just like a little bit on the forums, it tends to be more of an organic type of interview, you know.
Yeah, and it's been crazy meeting these people. Crazy in a good way. I I met Jonathan Diaz at Namm. I couldn't have told you what his face looked like.
Mm-hmm.
And now I've got his phone number. I think I'm heading out to Knoxville in a couple weeks, so we'll probably meet up there.
Yeah.
And it's been interesting. Of course, I grew up in the age where the internet was just developing. You know, your parents tell you, "Oh, never put your real name or your personal information online."
Right.
But now, so much of our online experiences are based around our personal lives. It's been a really interesting development, I found.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I tell you what, we'll hit this topic. We'll hit one more topic here, and then we'll kind of try to wrap it up. But you with your public relations track that you're on, there definitely is endless potential. I think for these contacts in these focused groups. Like for instance, if you're in the music industry and you've got a product,
Hmm.
and I'm not talking about like just advertising. I'm talking about like being in these groups and contributing and interacting with people, like and not like doing the shameless self promotion all the time. Like it adds so much value to your brand.
Yeah. So we talked about this in some of my music business classes,
Mm-hmm.
and just about how much, and it was mostly geared towards artists, but how much social media has made artists rethink their persona and their brand, and how integral their interaction with their fans can be.
Mm-hmm.
Just now with stuff like Snapchat and Facebook Live, um, those can offer your fans a look into your personal life, and that can go a long way. So now these kids are looking at um, like I said, the personal lives of these artists, and it draws a deeper connection between the fan and the artist. And I don't mean that in a creepy way, but in that sense, they're more likely to go out and stream their album or go to their concerts. But as far as gear is concerned, we look at these pedal and these guitar builders. Um, of course, within our communities, the Six Cycle community, both Pelican Noiseworks and Doug Cower come to mind
Yeah.
about um, how much that's grown their brand. I remember when the Pelotar came out, and it seemed like every Cycle Hummer had a Pelotar, and
Yeah.
Doug Cower certainly makes a fantastic product as well, with the Titans and his own builds. Um, but that and Instagram has certainly built his brand, I feel there.
Yeah.
So it's certainly very interesting to watch, and I love to. I think if it comes to it, I might end up writing a paper or something like that on how social media can impact these gear builders.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you've had a really good firsthand look at that, I think. You know.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's something. Walking away from now, I noticed a couple trends. One
Dual
is
overdrives.
yeah, dual overdrives. I noticed a couple trends. And this is just kind of off the top of my head. I haven't really thought about this a lot yet. But one is the multiple brands coming together who have similar brands trying to market themselves together kind of in a bundle. Okay.
Okay.
I think that's going to be important because here's the thing. If you have several dozen different pedal builders, it's not going to be like in the old days where a guy bought every Boss pedal there was, and that his pedal board, consisted completely of that. Like, a guy's going to have a Pelican Noiseworks. He might have Big Ear NYC. He might have Classic Audio. He might have Yellow Cake. He might just go down the line.
Sure.
These guys can't see really themselves as competitors, but offering something that's special, and they've got a certain niche audience, and it's a very focused group that's going to want to buy that boutique brand pedal. Okay, so if they can see that these guys are working together and marketing themselves, it's kind of like what Grant did is really, hey, all these pedals are cool. Find your flavor. Okay.
Yeah.
Same thing with boutique builders, boutique guitar builders. They had a boutique guitar booth that had guitars that you normally wouldn't see out in the wild, that were there and represented. Doug Cower had a couple of his guitars over there. The other thing I noticed was that the amps, I found out that several of the amps were being made by one company. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
There was a booth, and I can't remember the guy's name or his business, but he had like Egnator. He had, I think maybe Brian Wampler's new amp. Several that he was actually, they had designed it.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
There's that booth next to the Wampler booth. I remember they had the Morgans over there.
Yeah, the Morgan. That was another one. And I can't remember the guy's name, but he basically was producing all these amps.
Mm-hmm.
And the other guys were just designing what they wanted. They had their own brand, their own following, and he's workshopping these amps. John Cusack kind of is doing the same thing with pedals. I mean, he's got his own brand, but he's making printed circuit boards for a lot of these guys.
Yeah, and I do think gear builders and creators are going to have to be cautious in this next couple of years. And we've kind of seen it with the guitar industry. There's just been this huge boom, and there was that the Death of Electric Guitar article that came out a month or two ago, and we found out this week that Gibson might be going under. There's just been this huge saturation in boutique effects, and I think it'll be very interesting to see what happens in these next couple of years, but hopefully not too sad. Just as we do have so many pedal options available to us now, so many amp options.
Yeah.
And as much as we'd hate to see all these little builders go under, that's just the way economics work sometimes.
Yeah, you see a lot of these guys, and I think what will happen is that they're pitching ideas that will rise to the top, but it's just anybody's guess who's going to make it and there are definitely a lot of brilliant ideas coming out there. And, I would say that there wouldn't be room for a guy who's creative, and he might struggle as a private builder, but he might be worth a wealth of information if he went to go work for the guy who has all the resources.
Yeah. I agree with you there.
Yeah. And so I just see a lot of really cool ideas rising to the top. And it'd be interesting to see, who makes it, who goes to work for other guys. It's the industry is wide open. I don't see it dying away, but I think it's changing.
Yeah, change is a good verb to describe it.
Yeah, absolutely. And so you never know who might be the household name of this decade.
Yeah.
Here in a few years. But a lot of interesting conversation we've had, and you've got a really cool, unique point of view on this, I believe, and I think it's going to be a very good asset for you to have this perspective and going into what you're going into, and I can't wait to see kind of where you land, man.
Yeah, thanks, Clifton.
Yeah, best of wishes in your endeavor, and I think you're going to go on to do a lot of great things, man.
Awesome, thank you.
Well, thanks for taking the time to come on the show, and we'll just hang out here for a little bit, and look forward to talking to you again in the future, man.
Likewise. Thanks for having me, Clifton.
Well, thank you so much.